Welcome back to the deep dive. I want to start today by asking you to just visualize something for a second.
Mm.
When you picture a life-changing moment, what does your brain show you? What's the movie that plays?
It's always something big, isn't it? High drama,
Totally. A sudden tragedy, a lottery win.
near-death experience. The main character gets fired and storms out of the office in slow motion.
Exactly. The soundtrack swells. You expect some kind of explosion. You expect the universe to literally grab you and shake you.
Right.
But today, we are diving into a source that suggests something much quieter and, honestly, much scarier.
Mhm.
The idea here is that the moment that changes your life doesn't come with a bang. It happens on a completely ordinary Tuesday, maybe while you're waiting for a train, and if you're not paying attention, you could just miss it.
It is a terrifying thought.
Yeah.
But it's also, in a way, kind of liberating. We're looking at a narrative case study. It's called The Subtle Urgency of Noticing Life.
And it seems so simple on the surface.
Deceptively simple. It's a story about a man named Kabir. But really, it's like a scalpel. It just gets right to the heart of how we exist,
Yeah.
or maybe how we fail to exist in the world today.
Exist is absolutely the key word. Because the mission for this deep dive is really to unpack that difference, the massive difference between just managing a life and actually living one.
Yes.
We're going to talk about the drift that autopilot mode we all slip into, and the very quiet wake-up call that this character, Kabir, experienced.
And just to frame this for you, the listener, right at the start, this isn't just a story. It's not about a fictional character.
No.
The source itself calls it a mirror moment.
A mirror moment.
Yeah, the whole point is that it's designed to hit you later when you're alone. So if you feel a little uncomfortable during this or a bit exposed, that's by design.
Okay, let's get into it then. Let's talk about Kabir. The thing that struck me right away is that his life isn't a disaster. We're not reading about some guy who's hit rock bottom.
No, not at all. And that's what makes him so effective as a case study. The text describes his life as just fine.
Fine.
He had a steady job, a routine he could do without even thinking. He had people he talked to enough to feel, connected. He wasn't depressed. He wasn't miserable.
But wait, isn't fine the goal? I mean, a lot of people would kill for a steady job and a predictable routine. Is the source saying stability is a bad thing?
That is the critical question.
Yeah.
And though stability itself isn't the problem is the anesthesia that can come with it.
The anesthesia.
Yeah. The source argues that Kabir wasn't just stable, he was insulated. He was, and I love this phrase, he was present-ish.
Oof. Present-ish. That is a haunting phrase.
It is. It means you're physically there,
Yeah.
right? Occupying space,
Yeah.
but your consciousness is just sort of skimming the surface.
You're managing the logistics.
Exactly. Pay the bills, commute, eat, sleep, but you're not feeling the texture of your own life.
I feel like I know this guy. I mean, sometimes I feel like I am this guy. The source mentions his go-to answer for how are you? What was it?
Good. Busy.
Ah, that's it. That is the default setting for our entire society right now. It's almost a badge of honor.
It is. But if you look at the psychology behind that,
Yeah.
why do we settle for good, busy? It's not just about being lazy. The source says it's about the comfort of control. Kabir liked predictability because predictability keeps disappointment.
At a distance.
Precisely. It's a defense mechanism. If you don't expect too much, you don't get hurt.
Sure, that makes sense.
But the trade-off is huge. You avoid pain, but you also avoid depth. You enter this state of, well, what psychologists might call existential inertia. You keep moving forward just because you moved forward yesterday, not because you actually want to go anywhere.
So Kabir is just drifting along in this safe, beige life, and then we get to the inciting incident. And again, if you're expecting a movie plot, no aliens, no building on fire, it's just a train delay.
It's a disruption in the script, an ordinary afternoon commute home, and the train just stops. 5 minutes becomes 10.
We've all been there, that collective groan on the train. But what do we normally do? We pull out the phone, we start scrolling.
We self-medicate with distraction. And the source says Kabir tried to do this. He reached for that notification buzz in his pocket. But, and this is the key, he stopped. Maybe his battery died. Maybe he just ran out of things to look at. For whatever reason, he ran out of distractions.
He was forced into stillness, which, let's be honest, is excruciating for most of us.
It is. There's that famous quote from Blaise Pascal. All of humanity's problems stem from man's inability to sit quietly in a room alone. Kabir is stuck there. He can't escape the moment. And that stillness, that's what allows him to actually see.
He notices the man across from him.
An older man, Tired eyes, careful movements. And he's holding this paper bag on his lap. The text says, like it mattered.
Yeah.
That little detail just suggests a certain fragility or a preciousness to something really mundane.
And then the unthinkable happens. They actually speak to each other.
They break the cardinal rule of commuting.
The train jerks, stops again. The man sighs. And Kabir, just to fill the silence, says the most standard thing ever. Long day.
Very safe. It's a script we all know by heart.
Right.
But the man, he doesn't follow the script. He doesn't say, yeah, you know it, or tell me about it. He just kind of smiles and says, long life.
Okay, I have to pause here. Because if a stranger said that to me on a train, my first instinct would be to slowly back away. That's a little heavy, Rick.
It's incredibly heavy. It's startling. It completely shatters the social contract. We are programmed for these polite, surface-level chats.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's why Kabir was so drawn in. It was so raw and so real that it just shattered his drift.
It woke him up just because it was weird.
It was a pattern interrupt, exactly.
Yeah.
And it opened the door for a real conversation. They didn't talk about their jobs. They talked about missed chances, things that once felt important, things that quietly slipped away.
And then comes the question. The man asks Kabir something that I think this is going to stick with people for a long time. He asks, do you enjoy your days?
And notice the phrasing there, not are you happy? Happiness is so big, so abstract. It's a mood.
Right.
Do you enjoy your days?
Hmm.
That's specific. It's about the process of living. It's about the hours, not just the years.
And Kabir has his checklist, right? Stability, check. Plans for the future, check. But enjoyment, that just wasn't on the list.
And his reaction is just painful to read. He realizes he doesn't know the answer. The source as the silence stretched. He finally manages to say, I think so. But even he knows it sounds like a guess.
That is terrifying. To not know if you're enjoying your own life, you're the only one living it. How can you not know?
Because of the later fallacy. And this is where the analysis of the source really, really digs in. The old man says what is maybe the most dangerous line in the whole text. I spent years thinking life would start later. Turns out, later keeps moving.
Later keeps moving. Talk to me about that. What's happening in our brains when we fall for that trap?
It's a form of what's called temporal discounting. We basically see our present self as this worker bee, just suffering through the boring stuff so that our future self can be happy.
Yeah.
We treat today like it's just a waiting room. I'll be happy when I get the promotion. I'll travel when the kids are older.
It's the arrival fallacy, right? We think once we get to the destination, then life begins.
Correct. But the horizon line always moves. As you walk toward later, it just stays the same distance away. And the man on the train, he's the living proof of where that strategy leads. He waited. And now he's just an old man with a paper bag, looking back at a life he was always preparing to live, but never actually started.
And the source makes a point of saying he wasn't bitter about it, he didn't scream it, he just stated it like a fact.
Which makes it so much harder to dismiss. If he were ranting, Kabir could have just written him off as some crazy guy, but he was just reporting the news from the end of the line.
Then the train finally moves, the delay is over, and the little bubble they were in just bursts. Everyone else dives right back into their phones, but Kabir can't.
He's been infected by this truth. The man gets off at the next stop, but he leaves Kabir with one last instruction. Just don't wait too long.
So now we get to the aftermath, and this is where I expected the usual story. This is the part in the movie where Kabir marches into his office, flips a desk over, and buys a one-way ticket to Bali.
The Hollywood epiphany. It's dramatic, it's external, and it's very satisfying to watch on a screen.
But that is not what happens here at all.
No. And frankly, if he had done that, I would find this source way less useful, because blowing up your life is actually the easy way out. It's just another form of running away.
So what does he do?
What Kabir does is much, much harder. He keeps his life. He just changes how he inhabits it.
Okay, walk us through that. The source calls them subtle shifts.
Well, first, just in the immediate aftermath, he gets off the train. He doesn't run home. He walks slower. The text says, not because he was tired, because he was thinking. He starts noticing sensory things, the actual sound of traffic, the color of the sky.
That sounds nice, but isn't that just mindfulness? I mean, is that really enough to change a life?
It starts there, but it translates into action. The source gives a few examples. He started calling people he hadn't spoken to in a while. Now that sounds small, but think about the friction involved in that. Picking up the phone when you're busy requires breaking that inertia.
And it mentions he started saying no when he meant no.
Which is a massive shift. People-pleasing is a safety mechanism, keeps us in the herd, you know. Saying no creates a little conflict. It creates boundaries. Kabir started choosing the discomfort of being authentic over the comfort of just being Nice.
There's a line in the source I love. It says, living with intention feels awkward. And I think that's such a crucial point. We assume waking up feels like, I don't know, enlightenment, sunny and blissful, but Kabir just felt awkward.
Well, of course he did. It feels unnatural to choose presence over comfort. Numbing out is easy. Scrolling your phone is chemically rewarding, at least in the short term. Sitting with your thoughts, actually feeling the texture of a Tuesday afternoon, that takes real cognitive effort. It's like using a muscle that's atrophied.
And he also had to face that you can't unknow it.
Right. Once you see the cage you've built for yourself, the habit of avoiding risk, of postponing joy, you can't unsee it. You can't go back to being blissfully ignorant. And that awareness, it brings a certain amount of pain with it.
So why do it? If it's awkward and it's painful, why not just stay in the drift?
Because the alternative is the old man on the train. The alternative is getting to the end and realizing you never showed up. The source says Kabir's new reality felt sharper. Life felt sharper, more real.
So it's quality over comfort.
Exactly. You trade the safety of the blur for the sharpness of reality. And yeah, sometimes reality stings, but at least you're there for it.
It's so interesting that he didn't quit his job. He found a way to interrupt the pattern within the pattern.
And that is probably the most practical takeaway for anyone listening. You don't need a new life to have a new life. You just need to interrupt the autopilot. If every day feels the same, you are in the drift. Change your route to work. Talk to a stranger. Eat lunch without your phone. The source calls them tiny micro-rebellions against the zombie mode.
Micro-rebellions. I like that. It feels actionable.
It is. It's all about agency. Are you the passenger on your commute, or are you the one driving? Even if you're just driving to the same old grocery store, you should be the one driving.
So, bringing this all together, we have this story that warns us against waiting for later. We have a main character who doesn't become some hero. He just becomes awake.
Yeah, and if we learn out, the lesson here is that we often wait for permission to change. We wait for the heart attack, the divorce, the global crisis to shake us awake. We think we need this massive, tragic reason to pivot.
But all Kabir needed was a train delay and a creepy but insightful conversation.
Right. The source is arguing that the urgency is already here. It's just subtle. Life doesn't scream at you until it's almost too late. Most of the time, it just whispers. The old man was a whisper.
And if you're too busy being good, you miss the whisper.
Exactly. And that's why the source calls this a mirror moment. This story was never about Kabir. It's about you, the listener. It's about the pause you're feeling right now.
It's asking us, isn't it? Are we managing our lives, just checking the boxes, keeping it all stable, or are we actually living them?
And realizing there isn't a deadline. The old man didn't say you have 6 months to live. He just said, don't wait too long. But there is an urgency. It's not the urgency of panic. We have enough anxiety. This is the urgency of presence.
The urgency of presence, meaning be here now because here is the only place you ever actually exist.
Life doesn't ask for perfection. It doesn't ask for a highlight reel. It just asks to be noticed.
Yeah.
That's the fundamental takeaway.
Wow. This is one of those deep dives that's going to sit with me for a while. I know I'm going to be thinking about that old man on the train next time I'm stuck in traffic.
The source actually warns us about that. It says, this story won't really hit you right now while you're listening. It's designed to hit you later.
When
it's quiet, when you catch yourself waiting, when you're standing in line or sitting at your desk looking at a spreadsheet, and you feel that little itch to just fast forward, and you'll realize, oh, I'm waiting for later.
And when that moment comes?
Don't rush to answer it. Don't pull out your phone to escape. Just listen to that feeling. Because as the source concludes, sometimes that's where life begins.
A huge thank you to everyone listening to this deep dive. I hope you take a second today to just stop, look around, notice if you're in the find trap, and maybe start a micro-rebellion.
Don't wait too long.
We'll see you next time.